Welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk, the podcast covering all things soccer in the Queen City. So get in touch, soccer fans. Email us at feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com. Now, here's your host, Nick Suberly.
What's happening, CSTers? Welcome to episode 135 of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Glad you're with us here on this fine Monday evening. Well, last time we recorded a show, FC Cincinnati was on the verge. They are now USL regular season champions. They hoisted the shield over the weekend at Nippert Stadium after a very entertaining 3-0 win over Indy 11. FC Cincinnati continuing to just torch through the Eastern Conference. Now on a 21-match unbeaten streak. They now have 10 wins in a row. That is remarkable, a new USL record themselves. So we're going to be talking about the two matches from last week, of course, and we have a very special guest lined up for you this week, folks. We are thrilled to be joined a little bit later on in the show by the head coach of FC Cincinnati, Alan Koch, making his triumphant return to the show. Looking forward to catching up with him to get his thoughts on being hoisted up on the shoulders of Forrest Lasso to running roughshod through the Eastern Conference. And of course, looking forward to the 2018 USL playoffs here, starting up in just a few weeks. If you want to get in touch with us, you absolutely can on via email. You can email us feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com. You can also get in touch with us via Twitter as well @CincySoccerTalk. Let's welcome in my cast of characters for this week. I'll start first and foremost with Bradley Weigel. Brad, how are you, sir?
Sir, Championes, how about that?
That's right.
Yeah, we don't get to experience too many moments like this in Cincinnati, so it's cool to see everybody together on Saturday night.
Yeah, you had a really good Saturday night yourself, if you also include your Luckeyes getting a win.
The Ohio State University.
Yeah, I as much as it pains me to mention that, I will at least let you have that moment, Brad. Nah, good to have you back. Thanks for organizing the show last week, getting it produced and everything, and there at Buffalo Wings and Rings. You guys did a great job there. So glad to have you back. Let's also welcome back Rob Pierce, the beat writer himself, joining us here on CST. Rob, how are you?
Good. Good to be back with everybody. You know, normally when you have a song in your head, you do everything that you can to get rid of it. Well, I've had the Campeones chant in my head for the last few days, and I'm not complaining at all. You know, it's almost like the stars were aligned for the trophy presentation, it being at home. You know, had they won over the weekend last weekend, then they would have had to wait a week to celebrate. And if they had won this past Saturday, they would have been able to celebrate, but without a trophy. So it just kind of seems like everything fell into place. And, you know, Alan was right. It wouldn't have been the same if they had lost.
Yeah.
And on the way down to the pitch, I was with Laurel Fowler from WCPO. And we agreed that if they could just hold on for the clean sheet, that would be like the cherry on top of the sundae. And lo and behold, they did. I used the term undercard in the match report, and that's really what it felt like. Almost like we're not here for the game. Mm-hmm. That's great and all, but we're really here for the big trophy presentation. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looked like everybody had a blast there. Of course, another USL record-setting crowd on the final regular season game there at Nippert Stadium. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. If they would have lost to Indy, it would have just been kind of a bummer. I mean, yeah, it would have been great to hoist the trophy, but you kind of got to finish strong there. So I agree with you there, Rob. And last but not least, we welcome in the Wolfman, Bill Wolf. Bill, how's it going?
It's going good, good. I'm going to help Rob with getting that song out of his head. By fan request, I'm going to be suiting up in armor and jousting and laying down some rap rhythms and rhymes. So I am absolutely lying.
That would have been a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I don't think they actually make a suit of armor that fits me. They typically aren't this round.
Too short, too round.
Exactly. But yeah, it would be something to see. I'm not sure exactly how you rhyme and rap and lay down some beats or whatever with like a mask on your face. But maybe you get some nice verb going or something. But anyway, yeah, that would be a sight to see.
Well, we're glad to have you back, Bill. Looking forward to getting your take as well on what all went down there at Nippert Stadium on Saturday night. Of course, last week at Richmond too. As you know, that game tends to get forgotten because it was a midweek game. But again, that was the game that sealed it for FC Cincinnati, clinching the USL Eastern Conference Championship. So we'll kick things off now with our best and worst of the week. Something we do each and every week here on the show. So I'll start with you, Bill. How about your best and worst?
All right, so I'll start with my best. I think for me, it's just the fact that we are, obviously moving up to the MLS next year, but we are not just moving up; we're leaving our mark on this league. I mean, even just the last game, we broke the attendance record for the regular season, so we've set another record. We broke the record for the most consecutive wins. What was it? The most games undefeated is held by Richmond with 22. We're at 21 now. Richmond actually had the second best as well with 20. So we're now the second best for undefeated, with a good chance of defeating or beating Richmond as well. All we have to do is knock out Pittsburgh and Nashville, which we'd love to do. So yeah, I just love that we're kind of going out in style rather than just sort of like, hey, we're gone. So we're gonna leave them thinking about us for a while they try to best us.
Yeah.
As far as worse, man, I was really
kind of tough.
Yeah. I mean, the referees for me were pretty questionable for this game. I mean, obviously it was great that they didn't call a handball in the box when, Deco basically blasted it into Boehner's arm. To me, that that literally blocked it from going in the goal. That for sure should have been a handball. I'm glad that they don't understand what a handball is, but they also amazingly to me don't seem to understand what the rules are for a goal kick. I mean, they called offside on a goal kick. You can't be offside on a goal kick. If you watch the replay, Alan was livid. I mean, he was tearing.
I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there, Bill. Because I think even Tom and Kevin in the broadcast didn't realize it was not a goal kick. It was actually offside. It wasn't a goal kick.
It wasn't a goal kick.
Correct. So, yeah, if you watch where the kick is actually taken, it's outside the 6-yard area. So that's why they were going off on – at least that's how I thought the call was offside. There might have even been a foul in the box on the corner kick, and that's why – but it was I didn't think it was a goal kick. So when Kevin and Tommy were kind of mentioning it during the broadcast, I had to rewind
Alan
myself. Too.
Yeah, you should have seen Alan. Well, he was upset as well. So
I'm not going to crack down. I'm going to stay away from that. He knows more than I do. There's no question about that. But yeah, I do remember what you're talking about though.
Yeah, I was confused. That's for sure. So if that's the case, then you're right. And I'll just be wrong. That's cool.
All right, let's move on now. Rob, your worst and best, I should say.
I will start with my best. My best would be of course, as I was kind of alluding to earlier, the celebration after the match, the trophy presentation and the victory lap. But that was kind of a really, really neat thing to see. The fire spurting up on both sides, and what I really liked is the way they took when they did their victory lap, they took the shield around, and they would at intervals crouch down and just basically give everybody a photo opportunity. They would crouch down and then leap up with the trophy, and I thought that was really neat. And I missed Forrest kind of grabbing Koch and putting him on his shoulders. I wish I had seen that, but I did not catch that. My worst will be that my wife very much wanted to go to this match, and she's going to use our Bailey seats, and she's going to sit in the Bailey with our daughter who's 5. And as 5-year-olds are wont to do, she changed her mind on a dime and decided she did not want to go to the match. And my wife kind of fell asleep towards the end of the game. She saw most of the game, but fell asleep for the ceremony. At least that's what I remember her saying. So kind of a bummer there, but my brother got to use the seats.
Oh, that's cool.
And he texted me and said that he saw me down the pitch. So that was kind of a worst and kind of a not so bad in a way.
Well, good. You saved it there. I thought we were going to have to buckle up for a minute. So, I'm used to Boston just saying random things about his other half. So, no, I'm kidding. Of course, Boston. Your best and worst, Brad?
Are you?
Right.
I've got to go. I mentioned Koch, and I know we're going to talk about that later. I gave him a 10 of 10 on the night, but I've got to give my best shout out to Tom Grabo and Stevie for getting engaged. Just congratulations in front of the whole crowd at Nippert. It's got to be a cool moment for both of them. Just excited for them, and congratulations on the engagement. The worst, we played so good on the field this week. There's really not much to talk about on the worst side. I guess the only unfortunate piece is that Pa Kanate went off injured early. I want to say it was like the 55th minute. I really like what I'm seeing so far from him. His pace, his passing in the final third, I think would be dangerous. It's just I think this is at least the second time we've seen him come off injured, which is unfortunate. So I like what I'm seeing so far with him. Just kind of tough to analyze in this short period of time, and hopefully he can get healed up for the playoffs. But at worst, Blake Smith's not a bad option. He's been tremendous as well.
Oh, absolutely. And the good news is too, with that 5th appearance now, Pa's eligible to appear in the postseason for FC Cincinnati should he be called upon. So, I agree with you there, Brad. My best is I got to give it to the group as a whole to make 10 changes on Saturday night on one day of training after getting in late on Thursday, celebrating like they did in Richmond, to come out and just dominate an Indy 11 side who's fighting for their playoff lives. That's my best. I was impressed. I did not see a 3-0 result coming in that match against Indy. But with that said, my worst is the fact that the USL regular season champions were crowned, and the USL president, Jake Edwards, couldn't be in attendance to give the trophy to FC Cincinnati. They had to send a USL lackey. Come on. That was what was my worst. That, and they didn't have a microphone that worked for him right away. I think my ears are still ringing from the feedback. So those are our best and worst. We'd love to hear from you, though, folks. Get in touch with us, 513. That phone line's not open. You can always email us, feedback@CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Well, joining us now is the man of the hour here on the Kings Hammer Hotline. We are so thrilled to have him and welcome him back on the show. He is the head coach of FC Cincinnati, Alan Koch, and he joins us now. Coach, welcome to CST. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Thank you again for being with us. Congratulations on just a tremendous year for you, Coach. The regular season championship. How do you? I guess the first question I have for you, you lift the trophy, and you have to follow Jeff Birding on the mic. Did you feel any pressure there?
Nobody can follow Jeff Birding on the mic. Let's be honest. I didn't realize me following Jeff, but if I knew I was, I probably would have put a request not to speak.
Oh man, that's fantastic. Yeah, you did, and I'll say this, Alan, you did a really good job following Jeff. So don't worry about that. Let's go back to Florida, IMG. However many months ago, you and I and Bill, we had a chance to chat with you about this team and how excited you were. I guess I go back to that first part of the preseason. Did you foresee any of this happening? I mean, obviously this 21 match unbeaten streak is unparalleled to anything we've seen in USL, really, except for one other team. But I mean, did you foresee any of this when you built this squad?
To be honest, Nick, the day I got hired in December of, 2016, obviously in a different role, but that's why I was brought to this club to help build something. We've been working towards this since the first day I was hired, and obviously my role changed. In February of 2017, but we've continued to build every single day, and I'm glad for the entire club, the team, the city. I'm glad to see everybody get rewarded because there's a lot of people that put a lot of work into getting us where we are today.
Hey, Alan, this is Bill. Just wanted to chat a little bit as well about the beginning of the season. I mean, obviously, there was a lot of expectations about this team. We brought in some really talented players. The beginning of the season was, not, I would say we weren't on all cylinders kind of going into things. But obviously now we're clicking really, really well. I mean, with a great group of team, with a talented group of players, you're not always going to succeed. But what makes this team so good? I mean, what's the locker room like with these guys? I mean, what's clicking?
Well, the locker room's amazing because we really focus on bringing good guys. And to be honest, I personally interviewed every single guy just to make sure that they were the right persona to come in and fit with the group, because the seasons that we go through are such long slugs that you're going to go through good emotions and bad emotions, and you have to have a level of maturity to help manage that, of course. So it's a pleasure to be around these guys. But we did all the dirty work to make sure that they had the required talent level, and obviously came in with the right character and personas to help us gel and have success. I wasn't completely aware that people were pushing panic buttons at the start of the season, and to be quite honest, there shouldn't be any panic buttons being pushed when we brought in so many new players. It takes time to put a group together. I have calls and texts from people that I know around the world that are astounded with what we've done already this year in such a short amount of time, just with having so many new players. It takes time for players to all get on the same page and develop that level of cohesiveness and chemistry and understanding of each other and where they're all going to be on the field. So I take my hat off to the players, and I take my hat off to the staff too, because anybody who's seen us work at training, we work incredibly hard every single day to push each other. And I include the players pushing the coaches, because we all want to get challenged to become better. And you can see that growth is happening every single day. It was happening last year. Even though we went through some tough times, you could see that growth. And this year you could see that exponential growth materialize every single day.
So, I mean, obviously they're doing great. There has to be, some sort of just mentality in this group. Obviously there's a lot of competition going on, but I mean, they're obviously just working for each other, even though, they know that the next guy is taking their spot. It just seems like this team works for each other, that everybody has each other's back. And that seems like it's something really special. You don't see that in a lot of teams. And, teams that I think about that have that sort of feel to them are teams that I see winning championships. And this team seems to have that winning mentality of, we are going to do this together. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. The winning mentality is there every single day. And I think healthy competition is probably the biggest factor for that. I think the fact that we've managed to really include every single player. We've had to make some tough decisions during the course of the season to keep that cohesiveness. We've had to loan players out and move players on that maybe we didn't want to, but we knew we had to, just for the greater good of the group. And that's just being aware of how you have to manage the individuals, but obviously how we had to manage the team. We've moved some players on during the course of the season that are excellent players that could have played for us, but other players have grabbed the opportunities, and they've obviously excelled, and that's why the group has pushed on like it has this year.
Alan, this is Brad Weigel here, and I know you can't necessarily read these comments on Twitter or Facebook, so I'm going to do it for you. It says, Alan, Coach of the Year, Koch, Coach of the Year. Koch deserves key to the city. You've had quite, like you said, a past year and a half, really since actually almost 2 years come December, moving to Cincinnati from Vancouver, leaving your family there, thrust into this the head coaching job in February, the Open Cup run, rebuilding the team in 2018, the MLS bid. Basically what I'm saying is you've had tons and tons of pressure. What did that, special moment Saturday night, lifting that trophy, mean to you and your family?
Great question. It meant a lot, Brad. I'm very, very proud to lead FC Cincinnati as the head coach. It's an absolute honor. It's an absolute privilege. It's something we work on every single day. It's something that I've sacrificed a lot. It's something my family have sacrificed a lot for. It's something all of our staff and our players sacrifice every single day. But we also realize how lucky we are too at the same time to be part of an amazing club and truly an amazing city too. So for us to be able to give that back, I don't know, I've used this all the time, trust the process. If you have a plan in place and you have people in place that are doing the job and have a vision and you allow them to do it, you can achieve amazing things. And I think that's why we've grown this club like we have. We still have a long way to go, of course, and we're always going to have ups and downs. I think right now we're almost victims of our own success. We've had so much success that we continue to push that bar even higher and higher and higher all the time. But that's going to be very, very challenging to maintain that success. We obviously want to have an amazing cup run. We're going to gear ourselves towards that and give it everything we can. But we know next year we're going to a whole different level, and we're going to have moments when we suffer. And that's why the other night was an amazing night. We could reward everybody, staff, players, fans, everybody who works for the club, the entire city, with something special, because you don't get to lift a trophy every single day in this business. And it's what we work so hard for. So it was incredibly gratifying to have that moment at home, and it's something we'll all remember for a long time.
Hey, Alan, Rob here. What was the environment like for you for that last match? You guys had the USL regular season championship already wrapped up. I know that you had some festivities planned and everything, but were you surprised at all by the passion of the fans on Saturday? What was your reaction to that?
You know, Rob, it sounds bad to say this, but as much as the team and all of us are victims of our own success, like I said, our fans are victims of their own success too, because I certainly don't expect it, and we never take it for granted, but I knew they'd come into that stadium. I knew they'd rock the stadium. So I wasn't surprised at all. We greatly appreciate it. And it's an absolute pleasure. That's what makes this club so special. It's the people. This is a beautiful business. It's a game that's given all of us so much, but to be able to share that moment with thousands and thousands of people was incredibly special. And I hope all the fans went home very, very happy, obviously, with the win and the performance, but obviously having the ability to see a team in Cincinnati with a trophy was a special night for all of us.
So, moving on from just, Saturday night, but just kind of looking at the season as a whole. I mean, a lot of people got really excited when we started signing some of these players like Adi, Alashe, talking about these massive signings. But I mean, gosh, the Emmanuel Ledesma, I mean, what has he meant to this squad? I mean, do you think he's the league MVP?
That's not putting me in the spot there, is it, Bill?
Well, you don't get to vote. So.
Yeah, that's true. Manu's had an amazing season. But you know what? He wouldn't have had the success that he's had without the team. And the guys that have scored the goals, himself, Danny, Nazmi, Corbin, they wouldn't have scored those goals if the team wasn't there behind them. So, yeah, Manu's had an amazing season. I'm incredibly proud of him, and I'm incredibly happy for him. But we've had some other players that have had amazing seasons too. And there's probably a couple that people that just come and watch the games, look at stats, may think I'm crazy if I told you a couple other guys that I thought could be MVPs of our team, because we've had some guys that have really had some amazing seasons and maybe don't have the stats to back it up. So, yeah, Manu's been fantastic. I love the guy. He's awesome. I'm incredibly proud of him, but I'm also incredibly proud of all the individuals in the group too.
I kind of want to follow up on that, Alan, because you mentioned some guys that go unmentioned that maybe don't have the stats. And one position we've kind of talked about a lot here on this podcast is the left back position. You got Blake Smith midway through the camp there down in IMG, and I don't know if you envisioned him being the starter at left back all year long, but he had to play a lot of minutes because there wasn't a lot of depth at that position. But how important has he been to your defense?
Yeah, Blake's been amazing. He's been an incredibly pleasant surprise. Like, we've had other players that have tried to challenge him for that spot, and obviously Lance was around with us as a left back and as a left winger, and couldn't really play him as a winger because Corbin and Manu were doing so well, and we tried him as a left back, and then Blake started doing so well, and that's part of the healthy competition we talk about. It brings the best out of players, and Blake has truly grown. We went and signed Parr, obviously, to come in and see how he does, and Blake's embraced that challenge too. So he's one of the silent guys. There's several of them, but he's one of the guys that maybe doesn't have the stats to back it up, but you've seen some fantastic performances from him as the season's gone along.
Alan, Tommy G had a great stat on the telecast Saturday night. He said, during your 21 match unbeaten streak, FC Cincinnati has a plus 33 goal differential. They got 49 goals for, 16 against. And if you take out the two matches against Toronto, really it's 49-10. What has been the key to the success, even with as much rotation between the back line and really in between the pipes with your two keepers?
The success in terms of scoring all the goals?
I would say more what's been the success to the defense. They've just been tremendous, especially during this unbeaten streak, and they've had a lot of rotation.
You know what? I have absolute respect for our keepers, and I have absolute respect for our defenders, because if you look at the goalkeepers, and obviously Jack works with those guys every single day, and they've got their own little union. It's kind of cute, to be honest. You see Evan and Spencer and Mark and Jack, and they play all these games together, and they all speak their own language. But it's amazing to see the pride that they take in their jobs and training every single day, and that obviously carries over into games no matter who's playing. And I think that's why Evan and Spencer both had fantastic seasons. But you go even further. You look at our center backs. There's a center back union. There's Deco as a captain. He's a leader. He's brought Forrest. He's brought Paddy. He's brought Sam under his wing, and they go out training before, and they're doing their own activities, and they're pushing each other after training too. And there's just a lot of pride, I think, in the group. There's pride in themselves as individuals, but pride in their jobs. And I think when you have pride as a goalkeeper, or pride as center backs, or pride as a back four, that's something that's going to really help set you up for success in the game, because there's very few players in our team that will accept conceding a goal. So the goal is to go out and obviously score one more goal than everybody else, but the goal is definitely go out there and get a clean sheet in every game we play.
Hey, Alan, Rob again. How much will squad rotation be a factor in the last two matches? Obviously, you want to keep your regulars fresh, but rotation might allow you to see who might be able to fill out the 18 and give you a boost in the playoffs.
I've heard Bob Lilly and Gary Smith are huge listeners of the Cincy Soccer Talk, so I'm probably not going to talk too much about who's going to play this weekend. But Rob, there's a plan. You guys are just going to have to wait to see what happens. So,
we'll take that. So, Alan, you mentioned in an interview that the team doesn't need to lose games to learn. It seems to me like you believe that you can basically win any game, but are there any teams that sort of shake that confidence a little bit, and maybe teams you'd like to avoid in the playoffs?
You know what? I've said this all along. There are no easy games in this league. And every game we've gone into all season long, we've gone with the same mentality that every team's going to push us. Every game's going to be a challenge. And I think that's really extremely evident in the games against Toronto. Toronto are obviously at the bottom of the league. They came back and tied us up in Toronto. They made our lives very, very difficult here in Cincinnati too. So it doesn't matter who we face in the playoffs, honestly. You could draw us against the second team or the eighth team. It's not going to make any difference. The first game is going to be just as difficult as the last game because there's so much competition in our conference, and every team is good. Every team is getting better all the time, and every team is going to challenge you in a different way. So to be quite honest, I don't really care who we play against. I just know whoever we play against is going to be a very, very difficult game. But we'll be ready for it.
Alan, you've been very gracious with your time, so we're not going to keep you too much longer. But we do have to ask about it here. Theoretically, you have 6 weeks left in the season, but MLS and team building is coming fast. With the expansion draft, probably that second week in December, 2 months away. How do you focus on the task at hand to try to win the USL Cup versus really looking at the expansion draft and what's coming as a major building block ahead for the future?
Yeah, we're literally doing two jobs at once. We've given the guys, the players, a little bit of time off. But I was in the downtown office today. I'll be back there tomorrow. We're having a scouting summit where we've got a plan in place for the expansion draft. We've got a plan in place for the MLS draft. We're working on a lot of different free agents. There's no rest for the wicked, I guess. But no, we have a definite plan as to how we're going to build this team. We're obviously still assessing our current group to figure out who we're going to keep, but we're working at it every single day. And whenever the season finishes, hopefully it's in 6 weeks' time, I'm pretty certain I'll be on a plane the next day going to see specific targets that we're working on right now because we don't have that much time. And that's where planning is everything. There is a big plan. We know what we need to do. We just got to go out and do it and build the best group possible because it's going to be fun. Being in MLS is going to be fun, but like I mentioned earlier, it's not going to be easy. going in as an expansion team with reasonable resources in an ever-growing league is going to be a big challenge. But we'll be ready for it. And we're going to go ride that wave and ride the ups and downs in that league, just like we've ridden the ups and downs in the USL.
So, Alan, I got to say, I was in the Bailey last Saturday for the game, and afterwards the team came over to celebrate in front of the Bailey, and there was a moment there where Forrest sort of picked you up off the ground on his shoulders. I got to say, the look on your face was priceless at that moment. What were you thinking?
I didn't see Forrest coming, to be honest, but I appreciate it, and appreciate all the guys coming and being there to support me and support my staff, because when they lifted me, they weren't just lifting me. They were lifting everybody who slaves away for our club every single day. And I greatly appreciate the moments and the sentiment from Forrest and the players. But we all celebrate together. But it was very, very special to have that moment in front of the Bailey, because I don't think we can ever truly thank our fans enough. It's a pretty special club, and we get the privilege of doing our jobs in a very, very special environment. So we enjoyed it, and hopefully we can continue to make memories together.
Well, Alan, we really appreciate you being with us here on CST this week. We'll get you out of here on this question because, obviously maybe Pittsburgh's not the biggest rivalry amongst FC Cincinnati fans. We know Louisville is a pretty big rival, but this is the last time that these two teams will face in the regular season, and FC Cincinnati has never lost to the Riverhounds. So there's a lot of pressure this week, even more so than usual. I don't know if you know this, Coach, but obviously Bob Lilly's teams are really good. They're really well coached. What's it going to take to get a win over the Riverhounds on Saturday?
Oh, you're right. It's not going to be easy because Bob's an excellent coach. He's got a great team. What have we played them 3 times already this season, including the Cups, and obviously all 3 games have been difficult games. We've won 2 and tied 1. So we know to go to Pittsburgh and have success again is not going to be very easy, but we'll maintain the same focus. We'll go 1 game at a time. We're not even worried about Nashville. We're not even worried about the playoffs yet. We'll continue to push in the group, and I'm sure the players are going to push themselves. And like we do every day when we step out wearing the orange and blue, we'll give it everything we can to fight for the cause, and hopefully we'll continue to be successful.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate you being with us again. Congratulations on a tremendous year. Just what an unbelievable run you've been on, and we look forward to more and more here in 2018. We appreciate you being with us.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
That's head coach Alan Koch joining us here on the Kings Hammer Hotline. Good to hear from him again. I've really missed our conversations with Alan. Hope to do these a little bit more frequently as we go on through the off season, because as Brad said, it's going to be busy times for FC Cincinnati here in the next few months because of Major League Soccer expansion and whatnot. So it's going to be good stuff. Anyway, we appreciate Alan being with us. This is the time of the show, and it's the first week of the month. So you know what that means. We shout out each and every supporter of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. So let's give it up here for our huge supporters. Start first and foremost with Kings Hammer and Tim Bronsel, Matt Adamchick, Mama Subs, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Mike Hudson, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, Kathleen Francis, Jesse King, Teresa Everidge, Matt Imholt. I'm not even going to say it, Matt. Sagan Sagai. Now let's see. We also have John Davidson, Jesse Gill, Patrick Lonnie, Dave Tangler, Brian Griffin, Alex Yersky, Reese Johnson, Chris DeMeo, Claire Hughes. Got her. She's such a great supporter. I've actually got her on the slide twice. It's Carl Fight, Scott Griffith, Josh Leese, Kevin Johnston, Derek Smed, Greg Harrell, Jack Doyle, Doug Ross, the Cincy superfan Tom Grabo. By the way, Tom Grabo, now that you're engaged, you need to double your support because you're going to have 2 incomes. Tim and Tina Harris, Chris Howard, Sarah Spriggs, Paul Hetker, Michael Winland, Mattis Brumbach, Courtney Rice, Scott Party, Joe Collier, Richard Rolson, Christina Sharma, Nate Hale, Brandon Jones, Adam Alexander, Chima John, Mike Berryman, Andy Rosen, Dan Village, Jeff Egan, Joseph Wells, Becky and Matt Ryan, Stephen Buckeridge, Gary Randolph, AJ Stork, Alec Mackey, Jamie Lay, Angela Cardwell, Matthew Moore, Anthony Zawoski, Scott Kaplan, Colin Rink, Jason DeBrewer, Robert Finley, and James Denbo. Thank you so much for your support of our show here at CST. We really do appreciate you supporting us. If you want to learn more on how you can support the show, head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. We list every single supporter the first week of the month. So you've got a few weeks to get in there so we can get you mentioned. Yeah, good stuff there. All right.
Subs.
Yes, Brad.
I'm kind of surprised that you wouldn't say that Liverpool is superior to Man U. I mean, what Man U's had, what their worst start since the David Moyes era, you got to at least acknowledge it, right?
So FC Cincinnati won over the weekend. No, I'm kidding, of course. I mean, there's not much to say, Brad. It's time for Josie to go. It's very apparent. So it is fact. Liverpool is currently superior to Man U. But anyway, let's quickly move on, shall we? 2 matches left. FC Cincinnati has a chance to tie the unbeaten record by the Richmond Kickers from a few years ago. With a win or draw this weekend, that will be 22 matches unbeaten for FC Cincinnati. Knock on wood, hopefully they can pull that off. Currently, right now, their 10 wins is a new USL record. There are 10 wins consecutively, a new USL record. So, obviously, this is a big match for Pittsburgh as well because they're fighting for the 2 seed in the USL Eastern Conference. And again, I kind of mentioned it with Alan a few moments ago. It's not the biggest rivalry for FC Cincinnati fans, but it is still Cincinnati-Pittsburgh. And anytime we can get, and I say we, the city of Cincinnati can get a win over a Pittsburgh team, I think we all feel pretty good.
I'm just surprised you said we for Cincinnati because, you know.
Well, I'm from there, Bill. Leave me alone. I'm trying.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be nice to have that USL record unbeaten streak, you know, at least to beat Richmond. It would just be another record, on top of another record, on top of another record that we've done this year. And you know, the squad's really earned it. Not to put any hate down on Richmond when they did it, but I think that, you know, this league, the level of talent has been taken to the next level. We've seen the evolution, and I just think that, you know, it would just mean a lot to get that record, even though we will be departing the league next year.
Yeah, and to be fair, you know, we know Richmond's going to drop down to D3 or to League One, I should say, next year, and you know that's nothing against them. It's literally just a sign of what's happened to this league and the fact that the teams around them have risen up above them. So.
And what did Coach Koch say is that you don't have to lose a game to learn. So anybody who says, "Oh, they have to lose a game," that's not necessarily accurate. They can do just fine if they keep winning.
I'd be fine with them winning.
Yeah, I just don't want the last game against Pittsburgh to end. I mean, they've gone perfect against Pittsburgh for almost 3 years, unless we see them in the playoffs here in 2018. I want to continue that trend because usually it's that football team in Pittsburgh that continues to beat up on the Bengals. So I want to see us just dominating Pittsburgh soccer. That's the way I look at it. The Eastern Conference playoffs starting on October 20th. A lot of people, we get this question quite a bit, actually. What team are we worried about? And I feel like we've kind of talked about it a little bit here on the show in weeks past, but you know, there's a battle for that 8th spot, 7th and 8th spot there in the Eastern Conference that a team like Nashville's fighting for, that has the potential to be sitting there come playoff time for that first game. And Nashville's a team who, by the way, FC Cincinnati is going to play next week. There's the chance that FC Cincinnati could eliminate Nashville next week from the postseason. And there's a chance that if FC Cincinnati loses next week to Nashville, they may have to play each other in the first week of the playoffs. It's crazy how that math all works out. Is there anybody, Bill, that you're concerned with or that you don't want to face that first week?
Well, first to correct you, we don't play Nashville next week.
I meant the week after. Come on.
Hey, you're picking on me for my goal kick. I'm picking on you for your week
Fair
after.
enough.
Who do I not want to see? I actually don't want to see Nashville. It's a team we actually have never beaten. I would like to beat them for the last game of the season itself, and then I'd like for them to move on and play somebody else. They've been tough. I mean, they obviously are not at our level in the sense that they're not, joining the MLS next year, and they haven't really stocked up that roster, but they picked in some players. They are very heavy defensive. We're very strong offensive, so it makes for a pretty tough game for us while we try to break down one of the better defensive teams that are out there. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of playing Nashville. That's probably my one I'd like to see. Not just to mention, I really don't want to play them twice in a row. That would be weird.
Yeah. Doing Nashville back to back, that would be interesting and probably difficult in at least one of the games. That would be the team that I would say that I would not like to see FC Cincinnati face in the first round. Not so sure that it matters after that. I mean, if I had to pick a team that I would like to see them face, I would say North Carolina. But as long as it's not Nashville, I'm not sure it really matters.
Yeah, I think I agree with your guys' sentiments on Nashville. The defense is tremendous, but the team that's sitting there right in 11th place, they have an outside chance, and they've got a lot of talent that I just don't want to see them end up in that 8th seed, and it is Tampa Bay. They've been tough to beat for us. I know they've had a lot of ups and downs this year, but they do have the talent to go. I feel if they do get an 8th seed, they still have the talent to go all the way to the finals, even if they've got to go on the road. So that would be another team outside of Nashville in the 8th seed that I'd be worried about.
Tampa Bay's playoff hopes did take a pretty big hit last week with that Wednesday night loss to Indy there on the road. So they still have a fighting chance, but they're going to need some certain help come the next couple of weeks. So one team that's sitting there right now and actually is probably not getting the credit it deserves is the Ottawa Fury, a team that early on in the year really struggled, and they've got a goalkeeper who's got the USL record for clean sheets. That could pose some issues. You got a high-scoring offense of FC Cincinnati versus the defense of Ottawa. It'd be a battle of wills in that matchup. So that's another one to watch out for. Obviously, a lot has to happen between now and then. A lot has to shake out. But obviously, and we kind of talked about it with Coach a minute ago, it's hard to look forward because, there's still these regular season matches that you kind of got to pay attention a little bit to. Although they're not important from a trophy standpoint, there's so much on the line for FC Cincinnati. I would hate for this stretch to end here in these final 2 weeks after seeing them play so well. Now, a lot of people are going to say, maybe it's good for them to just get it out of their system for the sake. And I know Koch talked about you don't lose any or learn anything from a loss, but I mean, that's not true. You probably do learn things from a loss, but you don't have to lose to learn something. It's more of a numbers thing from a statistical standpoint. Like it's almost like get it out now, so you can start new. That's what I think what a lot of fans are concerned about.
I don't know. I think for me at this point, that makes sense a certain distance away, but when you're 2 games left, it's about momentum. It's about mentality. It's about confidence. And I think having played so many games undefeated, I think it's important for us just to maintain that confidence, to believe that we can beat every team, and just to go out there and do it.
Yeah. So let's run down the Eastern Conference standings, shall we? We know FC Cincinnati is in first, Louisville currently sitting second, Pittsburgh in third with the Battery in fourth. Indy, I wouldn't say, I said earlier they're fighting for their playoff lives. I'm pretty sure that they're pretty much locked into a playoff spot. They pretty much got that sewn up, unless they have an epic collapse here these next couple of games. Obviously, you got the Bethlehem Steel, who continues to play well there out east, followed by Ottawa, North Carolina FC, Nashville, and the Red Bulls, another dangerous team sitting there outside of the playoff window looking in. An interesting match over the weekend, guys. Nashville and Red Bulls played to a 1-1 draw, but Nashville had a man advantage for almost 70 minutes in that game. And instead of going for the win, a win they needed, they played with 5 at the back throughout the whole match and didn't try to go for it. That's surprising. When I heard that, I was absolutely shocked. So that's where things stand as far as the Eastern Conference goes. But Brad, there's another matchup that you're quite interested in.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in the Louisville versus Pittsburgh fight for the second seed. Right now, they're both tied at 57 points, but Louisville holds the advantage with 16 wins versus 15 wins. And I think some of us have been having this conversation on Slack. Who do you want to have that second seed? And I was telling the guys, I'm really pulling for Pittsburgh to get that second seed because I feel we have a better shot of beating Pittsburgh than Louisville. And I think once you take Louisville off of that baseball field, that pitch, there goes a lot of their advantage that that was key to them winning the title last year. So and that's what I'm going to pay attention to. Is I'd like to see. I hate to say I'm rooting against us this Saturday, but I'd like to see Pittsburgh pull ahead of Louisville.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely would rather play Pittsburgh than Louisville. I mean, Louisville has been a tough team for us this season. Obviously, early on we struggled, but they're tough every time we play them. I don't know. I mean, right now Louisville's sitting just that notch above Pittsburgh, and when I look at the last 3 games, it just feels like Louisville's got a little bit easier path to get there, especially with Pittsburgh having to go through us. So I have a feeling they're going to be the 3.
I go back and forth on Louisville. It almost seems like fate would have them meet again, and wouldn't it be sweet to send them home in one last meeting? But be careful what you wish for, because they've already won 2 games at Nippert Stadium this year, so they know how to do it.
Well, they won 2 games in Nippert Stadium with James O'Connor. I don't know if the system there, James or Hackworth, could pull that off. Obviously, it went to Louisville a few weeks ago and basically beat them twice in a span of 48 hours, even though it was still 1 game. But it would be interesting. You're right. I would like to see them go and look, to be the best, you got to beat the best, right? I would love to go through the Eastern Conference champs from a year ago and put it to them and end their season. But you're right. Careful what you wish for, Rob, because they can be scary. Now, Brad kind of mentioned Louisville and Pittsburgh. They played to a 2-2 draw not too long ago. Louisville had a 2-0 lead, and they gave it up late. So it would be nice if those 2 teams could cancel each other out in the Eastern Conference playoffs. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. We don't know who we're going to play on the 20th. What we do know is that we're going to be hosting a live show from Top Cats on October 20th. You're going to want to be there because we've got some special guests lined up. We can't announce them just yet, but we're really excited. You won't want to miss that. We are going to be there at Top Cats in the afternoon because it's a 4 p.m. kickoff that Saturday on October 20th. So we're going to be live starting at 1:15 there at Top Cats for a special edition of CST that you got to come to Top Cats. It's a new bar. That's where the Pride meet up at. Come check it out and come check out a live edition of CST. You won't want to miss that on October 20th. Is there anything else, gentlemen, that you want to kind of discuss regarding the Eastern Conference and where this team currently is? It's weird. It's kind of weird with the way the season has shaped up with these 2 road games falling the way they have with so much on the line for FC Cincinnati.
I think that FC Cincinnati is going to get through. Me saying I'd rather play Pittsburgh over Louisville, I still feel confident in our chances against anybody. But boy, being from Cincinnati, I would love that road to be just a little bit easier for us.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. I mean we got to keep ourselves sharp. We don't want our guys to get beat up or anything, but it's good to play some tough competition and be ready for some of the best teams, because that's what we're going to be up against from the 20th on. So might as well be stiff competition going into it.
Yeah. So some other notable matchups to watch out for coming up on Wednesday. You've got Penn versus Charlotte. One team will be eliminated in that matchup, so you want to check that out. And then on Saturday, you've got North Carolina FC versus New York Red Bulls 2. And then Saturday also Indy versus Steel. Indy still in it for a home playoff game, which would be good for Indy 11. That'd be really cool to see them pack the oil can, Lucas Oil Stadium there for Indy. So a lot of fun matchups, a lot of fun USL to cover here the next few weeks. It's going to be good stuff. And as we said, we hope that FC Cincinnati continues their unbeaten streak and their winning ways here these last 2 weeks. Before we wrap up, I don't know if any of you guys knew this, but did you know that yesterday, September 30th, was International Podcast Day? It's like a year for me, and I celebrate
list podcasts around Cincinnati. Nationally, I know they do Grant Wolf
of podcast. They do. I enjoyed the opening.
Enjoyable
Here, unless you're Old Man Ultras International Podcast Day, on what podcasts you might listen to. Make sure you email us feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. All right, let's start to wrap things up. I'll start with our final thoughts, and I'll kick it over to you, Rob Pierce.
For my final thoughts, I thought it was great to finally meet Nipun Chopra and Kevin Johnston on Saturday from Sock Takes. They were in the press box visiting in from Indy. Nipun has been on our show before, and he does great work. They had Nipun had a story maybe a week or so ago about refs and about what they go through during a game and how they're evaluated. And I thought that was a really great read. Speaking of podcasts, they do good work on their podcast, and they're a good Twitter follow also at Sock Takes. They do a good job of doing broad coverage. You know, they don't just focus on Indy; they do other stuff as well. So I encourage you to check them out, socktakes.com and at Sock Takes on Twitter.
Yeah, and I think they recently had just I don't know if it's a joint venture with Compass Football with Jason Davis, but I believe they have a show that Nipun co-hosts with him covering lower division soccer. So, yeah, they do great work over at Sock Takes. And Nipun, obviously a good friend of the show as well. So, good stuff, Rob. As always, great job covering the team over the weekend. I'm sure you enjoyed yourself in the press box, and it made you feel good being back in your reporter glory days.
Yes, yes, indeed. Look forward to being back there for the playoffs as long as FC Cincinnati can hang in there.
It's the first show back since your Bobcats lost to the Bearcats. Are you okay? I know you were a little bummed, but are you all right now?
I'm better now. We're thinking about taking our daughter to Athens in the fall to make a day trip out of it. So then I'll really be good. Then I'll be basking in the glow.
Good stuff, as always. Appreciate you, Rob. Final thoughts. We'll kick it over now to Brad Weigel. Brad?
Yeah, I have to give a shout-out here to former Dayton Dutch Lion alumnus Ben Sweat. He got a call-up today for the upcoming U.S. men's national team matches. So I believe it's his first call-up to the senior squad. So congratulations to him. A lot of people might know him too. He's been with New York City, but he actually spent the 2015 and 2016 seasons with the Rowdies. So you never know what happens. If you're with the USL team, keep working hard at it. Big things can happen. And then I also want to give a quick shout out. Mark Fishkin. He does something very similar to Cincinnati Soccer Talk, but for the Red Bulls. And he had an interesting tweet feed today. I tweeted it and encourage you guys to go read it. But it talked about the coverage or lack of coverage of the Red Bulls in New York and New Jersey. And I just want to reiterate how special it is. We have the buy-in of all the local media here. That radio with Lance McAllister, 5, 912s, Fox 19, CWs of the world, and also our print. With Charlie Hatch and Pat Brennan with the Inquirer and all the other miscellaneous papers around town. So if you get them, make sure you read the Athletic, read the Inquirer. It's just it's valuable to our club. Look at I firmly believe if the Inquirer didn't do what they did early, we wouldn't have as large of a support as we do now. So just thanks to him, and it's just really special, and appreciate all the support we've had around town building this club.
Yeah, it's surprising to hear that the big market like New York isn't covering those two teams with these big media outlets. Now I know there's a lot going on around the world elsewhere that maybe have more importance, but yeah, when I saw those figures, Brad, I was quite surprised. So
yeah, just going, some of their largest media coverage is going over a month between articles, and not even doing gamers, which you can value those or not, but just still going out there and supporting and getting stories. I mean, that's why we love these guys. We know the little stories about Deckel and his transition over here, Danny Koenig and his family, and maybe wanting to get back there and playing in his home country to finish his career. Just all kinds of different stuff going on. And we're just extremely, extremely lucky. And really, Chris Marshall says that we are spoiled
we are
by all this coverage.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Good stuff, Bradley. As always, appreciate you being with us.
Thanks, Subes. I appreciate all you do. I'm glad to be out of the producer's chair this week.
Yeah, that's always fun. It's always just a little stressful.
Especially when your tripod breaks 10 minutes before the live show and you've got to jerry rig something and tell people you can't sit there. So,
no, you guys did a good job last week. Appreciate all that you did there. Final thoughts from the Wolfman, last but not least. Bill, you got anything for us?
Yeah, to go out in a little bit of a lighter mode and just say Skyline Chili, baby. Finally, 3 years in, and we finally have Skyline Chili at Nippert Stadium. So that was the big news for me.
Wow. Yeah, that was a big development. I wonder what took so long. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Sponsor of the team. I mean, it can't be any more Cincinnati than that. And finally breaks into the FCC game day experience.
Well, let's ask this question, because for those of you who don't know Bill, he's got some unique eating habits. Did you partake in any Skyline over the weekend?
I did not. I don't actually eat or consume anything at the games. I never leave my drum when I'm there. I just, basically.
But that's the perfect plate, man. You could just set your food right on it.
I could. It would be quite messy when I tried to play it, but no. To be honest, I'm all business. So if you guys ever see me there, I'm like, I always look at myself and go, dang, I never smile, man. I'm like so serious, I'm like focused. I gotta play loud, play on beat, get it out there, man. Up the lads. So, but I don't know, I'm too serious. But anyway, so yeah, I typically don't drink. I typically don't eat. I'll eat. I like about 4-ish if I can. I'll try to get some like an early dinner, have something in my stomach, and then after that, it's all about just getting the job done.
Yep. So I hear you there. I'm with you. Yeah.
But I did have Skyline today, so
nice.
Made up for it.
As did I. I was very fortunate. My son had a state league soccer game in the small town of Belleville, Ohio, and if any of you know where that is, email me at feedback@cincinnati-soccer-talk.com, because it is off the beaten path, folks. They
have Skyline.
Well, Belleville doesn't, but Mansfield does. And that's okay. the big city near there. So on the way home last night, we stopped at Skyline. And the funny part was, so this is a new soccer team for Ben this year. So we don't know, Sarah and I, we don't know the parents all that well just yet. But so we pull into this Skyline, and literally a teammate of his pulled in behind us, and then another teammate, as we were eating our food at the counter, pulled in behind, and it was like, wow, these folks from Toledo actually they had to make a special trip just to go to this Skyline to eat it. I was impressed. I was like, wow, okay, cool. So, but no, I had a chance to eat it yesterday, and it was perfection. So, thank you to them.
Sounds like a franchise opportunity in Toledo to me.
If we can get those supporters to just start chipping in a little bit more. No, I do miss it. Looking forward to having it on the 20th. That's for sure. Again, don't forget to join us for our live show at Top Cats on October 20th. 1:15 is the start time for that. Stay tuned for some of the big guests that we are going to have for that show. You won't want to miss that. So again, 1:15 on 10:20 at Top Cats. Before the kickoff there at Nippert Stadium at 4 o'clock. So I believe the general admission tickets I shouldn't say general admission, the seating opened up to the public today for people to go out and buy their playoff tickets. So what are you waiting for? Get buying. Come on, we got to pack Nippert Stadium for the 20th. I've got a little bet riding with Brian Weigel. I don't want to lose, so please pack that stadium. We want to see more than 27,000 there if you're catching my drift, folks. So anyway, it's time we get out of here. Make sure you rate and review the show on iTunes. If you want to support the show, absolutely do so at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. Our thanks to Alan Koch for joining us this week here on the podcast. So we hope that we can do that a little bit more often here this offseason. And, of course, my thanks to Brad Weigel, Rob Pierce, and Bill Wolf. I'm Subs, reminding you to watch your tackles, and we will see you all next week.